know you're out delivering, so you can't. Call to see if you had any more batteries, 9 volts for the mics. Okay, I've got one that was dead. I just took the battery out and put it back in and it came on. I don't know how long ago. Okay. Okay, well, I'll just let them go, and if they die, we'll run and get one. Thank you. So, zoom, zoom, zoom.
Okay.
And then your mics are
Which
here.
one were you hitting? Oh, this one? Okay.
Yeah, just like a keyboard. And these are on. Now, I just called Rodney because one of them was dying.
Okay.
Battery. But they're
I'm
both
pretty
here.
loud, so. Okay.
Still need to use it.
Okay.
Frank, if you can hear.
You need to join Thomas Central.
I try.
Okay. I'm taking this off because you're leaving.
Yeah. You
Okay.
good?
I'm good.
And
Does it
you're
matter
already-
which one?
No. And you're already zooming and recording.
Right now?
Yeah.
I'm on. Okay.
So you should be ready to roll.
Okay.
They haven't gotten here yet. Do you want to text the participants who need it to say that they need to hop back on? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe I should do that.
But you know, like if it pops up and says admit so and so.
Just do it from there.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
Hey guys, thank you. We won't keep you forever long this afternoon, but there's some things going, well, who knows what's gonna happen this afternoon, honestly. But thank you for your patience. Last week, once the board made the decision Monday night, was crazy. We hadn't done schedules in Infinite Campus. We hadn't done a whole lot of things because we were waiting on that decision. And depending on how things go, Ms. Priestman and I were talking, like your rosters in Infinite Campus could completely change if we come back in person, because we have to adjust for the ones that want to stay at home and the ones that want to come here. So just thank you for your flexibility, because we've had to have more lately than ever. Mr. Massey took care of this morning, but this is our new staff. Ms. Lacey is actually taking her practice today. That's why she's not here. She had it scheduled. They set it up and they were going to do it virtually. And Ms. Gifford said she was supposed to come take it at 5 o'clock one night. She had to be in a room and get monitored the whole time. And she sat there for 4 hours and her proctor never showed up online. So rather than do that again, she scheduled it in person for today. Mr. Persinger is here via Florida, so he's fulfilled his quarantine requirements. He's okay now, but also from Brighton County. Ms. Cooper is coming to us via Fleming County and has 2 students that are going to attend with us, and I did get Colby's schedule fixed. So you'll see them on your roster. And then Ms. Bruner via Nicholas County for 3rd grade. So just welcome them. They're going to have lots of questions, I'm sure we all do, but okay, so here's our timeline. Y'all are here today. Mr. Holbrook asked that we have staff work daily from 8 o'clock to 3:30. Ms. Ann and I were talking today about the best way to handle temperature checks. I drove around Mr. Frank's by the ag department or the livestock barn and came down that way and parked in this back lot because I know this is gonna get kind of crazy. And if we use the back entrances, we talked about setting up stations back there, so not everybody's filtering through the same place. If that changes, or if Miss Vicky starts coming on site daily, which might be the other thing, then she'll come find you. So I'll kind of keep you posted if that changes. Miss Teresa sent an email about ordering breakfast and lunch. I don't know if this changed, I didn't get to talk to her, but the way they packed up meals for the kids is there's breakfast and lunch included, like breakfast is a Pop-Tart or muffin, and then lunch is whatever's on the menu. I think they had decided on $2 a day. They wouldn't be able to do charges because the system's not up and operating because it's a whole different system for summer lunches and it's a paper trail. But we'll double check with her on that. She just does need to know in advance though. I think last count they were preparing 395 per day. That's what's going out almost all summer. If you have new students on your roster that have just moved into the county, like I put a new kindergartner in this morning, and as you talk to them, can you please ask them about breakfast and lunch and if they need it added to the delivery route? Actually, we'll ask everybody that because some people didn't want it throughout the summer, but they might want back on the system since we're back on the regular schedule in a couple weeks. Okay, on August 20th, Miss Sherry and Miss Stacy organized a back to school bash, but it's going to be a drive-through. And once they started organizing it, we realized that that also needed to be the pickup time for Chromebooks, chargers, and the first week NTI binder. So we're asking you all to have your first week binder ready by August 20th. They're also doing school supplies for every student K-12. And Miss Stacy ordered real nice, kind of like the recyclable grocery bags, and they have RCS on them, but they're more of like a deep size, so they'll hold everything. And she's gonna label those with student names and grade levels. And they're doing the basics, like they're getting everybody pencils and pencil sharpeners, paper, crayons. But if there's something specific, and I hope I tell you this, I hope I said this right. If there's something specific that you want your grade level to have that may or may not be included, or you don't know if she'd think about it, please get with her. Because she mentioned this morning, like graph paper for the high school students for math, or things like that that might not be normal. So just stay in touch with her. She's already ordered a whole bunch of stuff, but there might be more stuff. And I know some classes have done their own, but she already knows that too, I think, because y'all already talked to her. So just stay in touch with Miss Stacy. But that evening, we're going to do it in the evening. We'll come up with some sort of schedule. We'll probably have as many people help as possible that day, maybe come in later and then stay later. We want to limit contact as much as possible, but also make it as efficient as possible. So we thought about having tables per grade level, or organize it by family. I don't know, but that's a work in progress. Just keep the date in mind. And then August 24th is our first NTI day for students. Mr. Holbrook said the other day on Friday, he's like, are you going to virtual or are you going to NTI? In Infinite Campus, it's going to be marked NTI because we are not totally virtual. A virtual setting is where the teachers would just be monitoring an online curriculum. And that's really not what we're doing because you all are still providing the curriculum and instruction. It's just partially online, which we're going to talk in a little bit. Infinite Campus is not right, by the way. It thinks students are still coming Wednesday. I couldn't fix that until we got last year's calendar approved, which just, well, the original calendar, which just happened on Thursday evening. So it will get fixed. It's nothing I can do. I have to call Infinite Campus to do that. But you should be able to see your kids. You should have rosters. You should be able to see all information. We finally got Miss Brandy fixed. Couldn't figure out what was going on with her, but you should have access to most everything, which we're going to talk about a little bit more.
Sorry. Give me just a second. I've got in trouble. You're good.
If you can't get into Infinite Campus or need access to a class I haven't given you access, please just holler. Ms. Valerie's working on schedules. This is gonna come up later. High school rosters and schedules aren't, the freshmen and sophomores are in good shape. Juniors and seniors need a little work. So, she'll be working on those, getting the dual credit classes in, and then there's some issues that we have to fix, especially with like music and things like that.
Will it go or not go? Trying to just go like up one and back.
Okay.
Go back. Okay.
Yep. Okay, so we know you have a lot of questions because we do too. And like they said this morning, it's probably going to continue to change. I have no idea what the governor's going to say this afternoon. We kind of think we know, but who knows? We've worked very hard to work through plans, but it's certainly not perfect. Just please be patient and positive as we go through multiple kinks. Here's what we do know. Our students in our community need us and they're counting on us. Our students and stakeholders deserve the best instruction we can deliver. We've been very lucky to have a consistent paycheck in the worst economic era that most of us have ever experienced. And we can do this because we're RCS and we have probably hands down one of the best staff around. So I know you have a million questions. I know a lot of times we don't get to them right away or we don't know how to answer them. And please, I know you get frustrated. We get frustrated too. And when we say we don't know or we put it off, like sometimes our hands are tied. So just continue your patience and flexibility, please. These are the procedures that Mr. Massey sent out last week. We do have to wear a mask. I don't have one now because I'm 6 feet away from everybody, which is fine. All staff enter through the main office door unless that changes. There will be a temperature check. Please have a mask unless you're medically waivered. If you're medically waivered, please adhere to social distancing guidelines. The school will have masks for all staff members, and if students return, it will have masks for all students. At least 2 per student, right, Mr. Massey? That's what we're working on. So, the mask must cover your mouth and nose. Follow the rule: if you move, you mask. Wash your hands and use hand sanitizer frequently. When you're in your classroom, you can remove your mask if you're the only one in there. More than one individual in the room, a mask must be worn and practice social distancing. Please do not congregate. Staff is to remain in place where you're assigned. And if you do need to meet with your team or group, please notify us. First of all, we'll try to be in there with you. And then mask and social distance, and also keep your contact tracing forms. That's going to be a hassle probably and a lot of extra work, but we have to do that for the health department. So I know special ed has a meeting first thing in the morning, and then Ms. Gifford has scheduled technology meetings all morning. So we'll have those forms with us, and then we'll come to the classroom and have the contact tracing forms. Okay, so we have talked a lot about, Ms. Gifford has, I know, had tons of questions. As a parent and as a staff member, it's really crucial that we keep everything for our kids as consistent as possible. Number one, Ms. Gifford can't keep up with a million different platforms because the kids call her, the parents call her, the staff members call her. And then as a parent, if I have 4 different grade levels, but I know exactly where to go for all their work, and it's the same for every classroom, it's just going to make everything so much easier. So we're asking that all teachers have a Google Classroom. That'll just be our starting point. You can put whatever you want in your Google Classroom. I know teachers have worked very hard on the Bitmoji classrooms and things like that, which is awesome. And they can go in your Google Classroom. But we need to be able to tell 5th grade reading, go to your 5th grade reading Google Classroom. We're going to have to work really hard with our parents and our students about how easy it is to put these classrooms on your phone. It's an app. You can pull them up, and it's all right there. So we're asking that K-3, you can just have one overall. Like there's a kindergarten Google Classroom, a 1st grade Google Classroom. Then when we get up to the departmentalized grades, we're asking that you have like 4th grade reading, 5th grade reading, and 6th grade reading. Please add myself, Mr. Massey, Ms. Priestman, and Ms. Gifford to each of your classrooms. That way, if there's something that needs to go out or that we need to post, we can post in your classrooms. Mr. Massey can also monitor instruction that way too. But Okay, so then the common video platforms. Ms. Gifford, I'm gonna let you come up and do this because she has played with this. She's taken it home at night, bless her heart. She's worked with it repeatedly. So I'm gonna let her explain how to record just so again it's all consistent.
Okay, so we used to on Zoom back in the spring when we were on NTI board. So we're gonna use Zoom and YouTube. And they agree perfectly well together. What you're gonna do most of the time, I'll talk to you more at length about how to do this. Basically, you're gonna run a Zoom meeting, load your your YouTube video in your Zoom, record it, and upload it to your classroom. So basically, everything's gonna go into your classroom. And I will help you. I will show you how to do that tomorrow. I've got lessons, I've got videos of myself doing it step by step for you. So I'll show you how to do it in person, but then also those videos are there for you later when you're actually trying to do it yourself. If you want it, you can do it side by side, watch the video and create as you go. So I'll go into more depth on that tomorrow during our meetings on how all of that specifically is going to work. And since we've already used Zoom, it's not a big deal at all. Don't feel overwhelmed. You all got it. It's not going to be a huge learning thing for you to have to do. I feel great with this snack and all the things we've come through all the way so far. You'll be fine. Yes, and I think Miss Holly has this later on, but I have poets up here. So I have iPads. Actually, Joseph Burns is up there cleaning iPads right now. I have iPads that I'm wiping out. We're sending home Chromebooks K-12. So I have 40 iPads that we used to use for kindergarten, and we will probably use in the future again. But for right now, we're wiping them, and then you can check them out from the library and webcams. And you can put your school account on it so that you can record with the iPad. It goes automatically to you. Just hit a button, it goes to YouTube, you don't have to log in all the time. So I have those upstairs and webcams too upstairs. And then just if you don't have a mic in your phone in your room, the kind of waiter that turns on and sees your ceiling, if you let me know. If you have extras, send them my way because people are wanting to record, but they don't have a mic in. With all the moving around this summer, I'm sure they're in desk drawers or whatnot.
Thank you. Okay, one of our big things was we know that we still need students on site. We have students that have IEPs, students with gifted service plans, and students that just need extra support and tutoring. So we are going to allow students to make appointments. And this kind of has evolved. And it doesn't just have to be IEP students. But the special ed teachers are going to work out a schedule and help schedule appointments because they know what the IEP requires. Here's our biggest obstacle, and Ms. Ann and I have talked about this a lot, and we need your brains behind it to help us figure out the best plan. Somehow, Ms. Ann needs to know who's going to be coming on site days because she's going to have to check their temperatures and she's going to have to get them to the right location. We thought about a Google Calendar that is just a staff Google Calendar that we all use. I use a Google Calendar for, well, actually I switched everything to Google Calendar, and it's wonderful and it's easy. And then the benefit to that would be if I need Addison Limble and I see that Ms. Dina already has Addison Limble coming in, then I would see it on the master calendar and I might be able to steal her for something that I need as well. So, and that would be a common place that everybody puts their appointments in. Then we also thought about having each teacher keep in your own calendar and then emailing those to Ms. Ann. But then that's 42 different teacher schedules that Ms. Ann can get at the end of the day potentially. We don't have it set in stone. I'm sure Ms. Ann is super flexible as to what we come up with. If you come up with a way, or if you can as a staff figure out the best way to tackle it, I know the scheduling part, that's not going to be that'll be the easy part so much, but just letting Ms. Ann know and other teachers know who's going to be on site day. So kind of throw that around in your brain. Students may also schedule one-on-one tutoring time with teachers by appointment. We need to work out a semester calendar with Ms. Ann. They may also come on campus to take assessments and identity diagnostics. Ms. Karen's going to work on scheduling those. Middle and high school teachers work on scheduling CERT. I honestly haven't heard a lot from CERT this summer, as far as like the setup and what all we have access to, so I need to get in there. I know iReady has rolled over and is kind of ready to go, but the classrooms aren't set up yet, so that's something that we'll work on this week. But just kind of keep that in the back of your head. I think it'll be a good opportunity for the ones that we need. Oh, and Mr. Holbert did say, if you have a student that needs to get on campus and cannot get here due to transportation, that we have people that will transport them. So we just have to work that out with the families. There is I don't want to call it a waiver, because I don't really look at it as a death waiver, but there's a form that we're going to have them sign that just says they are volunteering to come on campus, that we're keeping the safest campus as possible, but everybody knows that they're here. It's okay with their parents, it's okay with you all, and I'll share that with you. We actually can fill it with the foster grandparents and use a lot of their wording, so we'll get that type of this week. I think special ed is already working on that too. Okay, so Katie sent out considerations that we needed to think about when we're talking with the staff, and things as you talk with your families that we need to stress. The first thing was, how is student work going to be graded? We as teachers have to emphasize the importance of participation in grading. We have to set high expectations, and there are a couple students that I'm still fighting with that have not committed or fulfilled their summer school duties. I think they really think that we're joking and that they're not going to get held back. Did Mabel come down here? I don't think. Mabel Young has been on staff with Tinko this summer. She's not a student. She actually is just new to the community, and she was kind of our summer school tutor, and she's wonderful, and the kids love her, and she has worked very hard to get students up here, but there are a couple who just don't want to come. And I have stressed, and I've talked to the parents, and I just really think that they think they can't be held back at this point. But we've provided them every opportunity to come and get their things made up, and they're not going to, or they don't think, I don't know how they're going to at this point. So we have to just set very high expectations, and I know you as a staff are going above and beyond to help them, and that's what I told a parent this summer. I said, we had a special human on site every day to work with your child one-on-one. We've offered to come and get him and her, transport them here, and get all the work together. Like there's not a lot else we can offer to do because they chose not to do it over NTI the first time. So it's been a struggle, but hopefully that will get better. How will special ed requirements and exceptional student learning be met? That's where we got permission to have them come on campus by appointment to meet with their IEP or meet their IEP requirements. And we'll have to work with speech and OT and PT as well, because if we have a student on campus that has to get all of those services, the less trips they have to make, probably the better for them, most of them. And that'll just, again, be a scheduling thing that we need to work out. What is the expected time for students to spend learning each day? How much time can students' developmental age handle for non-traditional instruction each day or week? Mr. Massey and I spent a lot of time looking at this and trying to figure out like what's appropriate per grade level. And this is the best that we could find. I'm going to email this to you after today, by the way. This is kind of the most validated research that we could find. At the pre-K level, honestly, they're good for about 20 to 40 minutes a day. Their sustained attention is only 3 to 5 minutes. So it's not going to be very beneficial to the student or the parents to record a 55-minute Zoom and expect their attention to stay that whole time. It's just not going to. So we have to do short little lessons. Miss Lauren was telling me the other day she found a teacher that had done a whole morning's worth of lessons, but incorporated like the brain breaks and things like that on there. When Mr. Holbrook was talking this morning about what the board expected, number one, they expected us to be on site if we could possibly do so. But number two, they expected consistency and high expectations. And a couple of the board members were adamant that we keep schedules for the students. That had their day started at 8:30, they were expected to be on Zoom, they were expected to be with their classmates, they had to participate throughout the day. And I totally agree, except for all of us in this room and many other parents that work all day every day. And the little Lindles are at home all day by themselves. And I can tell Hadley every bit to be up at 9 o'clock and be on Zoom and be in her class. And she probably very well could be, but there's also 2 others there. And they're not really her responsibility to raise, and she's had a lot of responsibility. But having the expectation that they're going to do that and get what they need without me there is probably not good. So I explained that, and I said, you know, when we get home at night, I'll go back and watch the videos, and we'll do it. And it's pure hell, I will say, as a parent that works, it's pure hell. And I completely get where all of you are coming from. Every Tuesday night last NTI was breaking. Like, I don't know why, Tuesdays were horrible. And we would stay up until 10:30 or 11 o'clock, and it's not ideal. I completely get it. But I do know that I hope my kids can take advantage of some of these tutoring sessions where they can come in and work with you. But as much as you can do to help and just think and still hold those high expectations, and that's what Mr. Massey says all the time, we want to focus on quality, not quantity. We know how good your instruction can be. It's just we have to keep in mind of what the kids and the parents can handle in the most ideal situation we've ever had to deal with. Keep in mind this also includes their iReady insert time. Suggested iReady weekly usage is 45 minutes per content area per week. So it's about 10 minutes a day for reading and 10 minutes a day for math. So that's kind of included in their daily instructional time. And we'll send this out, and we don't expect you, to follow it exactly, but just a good idea to keep in mind of where your students are developmentally. And normally in this situation, they get to get up at least every 45, 50 minutes. They get to walk down the hall, they get to take a break, they get to get up and exercise, and then they get focused again by you all. It's totally not like that at home. And we know they're staying up till 2 or 3 o'clock in the mornings, and as much as we tell them not to do that, they're going to do that. So, how are teachers expected to communicate with students and parents, and how often? The key is regular and consistent. We're still going to use the PLP contact log and IC, and I'll send out that pathway. I do want to thank you because I was on the phone with a board member 2 weeks ago, and that board member said, my student never got contacted. The whole time in spring NTI, my student never got contacted. Well, I went to Infinite Campus and I put in that student's name and I looked in their contact log. And because you all did such a good job, I was able to say, well, let me see, because Mr. Turner said he spoke to you and the student and then both of you on these days. Mr. Gallagher said he reached out on this day, like it was right there. And then that board member was like, oh yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe that teacher contacted the student directly, sometimes I didn't know about. So that kind of validated a lot on us, and I was able to speak in your behalf that yes, they were contacted, and this is the date, and this was when. So thank you. What is a fair expectation? Oh, in the Google Classroom, which we'll talk more about tomorrow. What is a fair expectation for families to support their children? Just keep in mind that some parents are working, some students are home alone, some students are raised by grandparents. Those are just things that you're going to have to get to learn about your families. And hopefully what all they're going to be capable of and when they're going to be able to work on their work. What if students don't have devices or the internet? Devices will be provided by RCS, and then Ms. Gifford's working on an alternate internet option. Probably the flash drive, switch in and out, seems to be the best right now. I know she said on our staff Zoom she's worked on multiple hotspot options and loading internet onto buses and parking buses in different parts of the community, and those are all still works in progress. But for now, we're going to rely on the flash drives we make. Yes, please.
Well, I just want to say that we've had 2 churches in our county reach out to me and say that they are willing to, let the kids pull up and use their hotspot or Wi-Fi, and one has even offered like open doors and help kids with work. So we have options.
If you couldn't hear Ms. Gifford, she said we've had a couple of churches in the community also speak up and offer to let students come in, work kind of open door policy, use their internet, use a hotspot there. So that's awesome alternative too. And then what technology apps and student learning platforms need to be utilized? Again, we'll talk more, but Google Classroom, Zoom, and YouTube will be the common across all grade levels. How will we get materials to students? So Mr. David Derman, is he in here? He's right there. Okay, Miss Trisha Dice. Okay, we're kind of here throughout the summer off and on, and we figured out that ultimately, regardless of how much online we're doing, that our students are going to need paper pencil for some of it. They're going to need the math worksheets. They're going to need some things in their hand. And it was a work in progress. If you were ever here on Wednesdays when binders were getting ready to go back out, it was a zoo. Getting that organized was crazy. But they have agreed to be your point of contacts. So they're going to get up. Miss Brianna Green's here this week. She's actually making labels right now for binders. We did send a message that said if students had binders at home and they were in good shape, if they would like to bring those back to school, we'd love to reuse them instead of buying new ones. We'll put that message out there again, and as you talk to families, you can mention that just to save on resources. But they will be kind of your point of contacts. They can help you make copies. They will get the stuff in the folders for you. They will keep the folders organized. Mr. Garman had them organized by color-coded bus route, but to know which drivers they went with at the end of the week. It was a learning curve, but by the end of spring, we kind of had it figured out. It took a few weeks to get there, though. We're going to plan to exchange on Fridays. So if you can have all your work to Miss Trisha or Mr. Gurman, or if you choose to put it in the folders yourself, that's absolutely fine. But please have it in there Thursday at 2 o'clock for Friday delivery. And we're encouraging students to return it on a weekly basis. One thing that we're going to ask you to do, and we have aides that will help, is if you can have names on the papers, and I know that is a lot to ask, but again, we have people that are willing to help. The problem is when it comes back and they send it with drivers, or they send it with, or they drop it off, and then it goes into the lunchroom, and Miss Trisha's in there trying to sort it, and we're trying to figure out what teacher it could be going to or whose handwriting it is. It's a nightmare. And I know you told them all summer, and we told them all spring to please put your name on your papers. Please, it was, yeah. So anything that we can do, and maybe y'all could come up with a different system that might be easier. I don't know the answer other than if we send it home with their name on it, then when it comes back, we'll know exactly who it goes back to. But yeah, that was kind of crazy. If the binders come back in on Friday and we let them sit and don't sort them until Monday or Tuesday, the health department felt like that would be a pretty good amount of time to let the germs kind of die out, and then we can use Lysol and things too before we deliver those to your classroom. So just keep in mind that they're going to go in and out on Friday is our goal. Faculty and staff will work in person each day. This way we're more accessible to parents and students. Collaboration and PLCs are crucial to effective learning. All your resources are more readily available here, and our tech staff can more easily meet your needs. We are working on an option for staff childcare, as we realize that's an issue. Again, staff will be here daily from 8 to 3:30 with a 30-minute lunch. NTI days are considered work days and count towards your contract. If you can't work or is unable to work on an NTI day, leave time must be used per district policy. And then teacher participation is tracked and reported to KDE by Mr. Massey. We do have to do our uploads to them. In the spring, they let us wait until all of our NTI days were complete and upload. That's not going to happen. They're going to expect us to have those in there weekly. So we'll have to have your student work samples and your binders each week. We have your binders from last year. Brianna has worked on putting new NTI documentation sheets in there. And that one that we had to do daily, we kind of streamlined and made it just one per week. We'll let you look at it and see if you like it better or if we need to change it. We left your documentation in there from the spring for a couple purposes. Number one, we could still get audited, and it would be easier if we knew exactly where yours was. Number two, we didn't really have storage to take all that out and find a place to keep it. If you want to take it out and keep it in your classroom so it's not in this year's binder, that's entirely fine. We'll just have to have it back at some point when we get done with NTI days. Student attendance is expected as NTI days are still considered instructional days. Participation is determined in a variety of ways, how they access online coursework, joining a class meeting, completing a project or paper assignment, or participating in instructional activities. We ask teachers to track daily student participation along with the student work samples from each NTI day in their binder. Again, you don't have to keep every class every day. So Mr. Persinger would have to keep a sample from Monday. So he might keep 7th grade math one day, 8th grade math the next day, integrated science on Thursday, and ICP on Friday, and then and duplicate one per day. So we just need one sample per day for any class that you teach. And then throughout the week, if you could cover all your content areas, that suffices for the state requirements. Miss Ashley's NTI binder, sorry to put you on the spot, had a really cool chart in the beginning to track her daily participation rate. She might want to share that with you. We thought about doing it, but then we thought maybe we better ask her first. They kept it all on one sheet and kind of was better able to keep it all in there together. So there's lots of different ways you can do it, but we do have to report those each week, not at the end of NTI this time. Safe Schools, I know lots of you are on, lots of you have completed yours, lots of you are in progress. Those are due September 1st. You don't have to print your certificates. There's a completion report that I can pull from Ms. Tracy. And your login is your first name, last name. You don't have to have a password. If for some reason you can't get in, just holler at me and we'll fix it. If you video your lessons, which we're going to talk about more with Ms. Billy tomorrow in the tech sessions, please still post your learning targets. We're also going to ask you to record your lessons, which they'll go to YouTube, but that's also evidence that KDE may ask us for, or that we may submit as some of your daily instructional evidence, so that way they can see what standards were being addressed each day. Lesson plans, this actually, I meant to change that because Mr. Massey's going to simplify these, and we'll email a sample via Excel, I think. I just didn't get it on here. So, but the date, your learning target, what standard you're going to cover, and then what activity you're going to do that day. Again, he doesn't want to see or doesn't need to see one-page lesson plans. We've got more important things to tackle right now, and that's quality instruction. So we have to have it. We have to have some evidence, but don't spend all your time on those. Update your computers. We talked about that this morning. If you do have tech questions, though, or needs in your classroom, please email Ms. Gifford. That's easier for her rather than phone calls and text messages and different messages coming in different formats. If they're on email, there's a paper trail. She will get to you, reply to you, and that way it doesn't get lost. So just email those. It's going to be crazy the next few weeks. It's been crazy all summer. But that way she can keep track of it. Infinite Campus. So there's a few things in Infinite Campus. We still have to track interventions. That's what this is for. If a student comes on campus and you have a one-on-one tutoring session, or if you meet with a student one-on-one via Zoom, that's tier 3, and we can document that as intervention. And this is the pathway to get there on Infinite Campus. If it's reading, you do not have to start a new record. We will just add to it throughout the school year. So we'll have a start date of August 24th, or whatever the first day that student gets met with. The end date won't be until the end of the year. Much like every other year that we've done this, and we'll talk about this in more detail, but just kind of keep it in mind. Some people prefer to keep these on paper and then enter them all at once. That's entirely up to you. I have a form that you can put them on. The state pulls data quarterly. So October 30th, I think, is the first data pull. We have to have data in there by then. Grade books, we'll still have to set those up in Infinite Campus as well. These are the instructions. They have changed a lot. A lot of it I can set up on my end and push it out to you, which is a lot easier for you all, and it's a lot easier for me to see if something goes wrong, where the little box might be checked. As you look through them, just check your setup. It probably didn't transfer over from last year. If you are a teacher that weights your categories, talk to me before you set up, because that'll be a little bit different. If you use a point system, and you make tests worth 100 points and homework worth 25 points, you're already weighting your categories. So if you tell Infinite Campus to weight that again to 80% assessments and 20% homework, you're double weighting. The only time you really want to weight your categories in Infinite Campus is if you're going to put every assignment in your grade book at 100 points, okay? So if you have questions, we'll talk about that, and I'll help you with your setup. PLCs, we still are going to meet. PLC groups have changed. Right now, the board does want us to still meet and submit presentations to them at the regular monthly board meetings. This can be done via Zoom. The last board meeting was the first board meeting for a long time that the board members themselves actually got together. They were on the stage, socially distanced. We share the Zoom code with the community. We did have several community members and some staff members hop on that day. But you, as a PLC group, could just get your presentation ready and then have it presented via Zoom to the board members. And nothing fancy, just 5 slides that show what you're working on, pacing on your instruction and curriculum in the classroom. On Tuesday, so tomorrow, this is kind of the only day that we're going to be meeting in a large group. Ms. Billy has tech session schedules tomorrow. We're asking people to start calling their families and figure out the best plan and reassure them that this will be a better prepared system that we were thrown into last spring. Positivity is key. This isn't an ideal situation for anyone, but it's what we have to deal with right now. Intermediate and middle school teachers, you can call as a group or divide your kids up accordingly. High school teachers, well, special ed will work with getting their caseload called, and they're going to collaborate with the classroom teachers. High school, I was going to divide up the rosters and tell you so many to call this many of the alphabet, but I didn't. I didn't print the rosters and bring them, so I'll let you all work out who calls who. In thinking about that, if Mr. Gifford didn't have that kid in class at all, it was going to kind of be pointless for him to call somebody with an L last name just because they fell in this group. So I'll kind of let you all figure that out. As you look through Infinite Campus, like I said earlier, everybody's got a pretty solid schedule except for juniors and seniors. And they are probably in okay shape, but not great shape. Some of the students have figured out that they have access to it. I did not publicize it because then the phone calls start. And they've texted or they've emailed and said, hey, Ms. Holly, my schedule doesn't look right. There's a few things that we'll have to work out with Ms. Priestman. I do agree, because we had talked about they need a full schedule, because if we do come back in person, we need that to be as seamless as possible. That way we can just flow right into a regular school day, as regular as it can be. So we want everybody to have a full schedule. If seniors are at their credit requirement and they were just going to fill their day with electives, that's kind of pointless at this point. We can encourage them to do work-based learning or some other options. Peer tutoring right now is we're not going to schedule because they're not going to be on site or on campus with us. So that might be something that does change later. Ms. Grace will work with the dual credit students. She's already been working with them to get their Chromebooks out. If you are a high school teacher, they do start class on the 17th for the most part through MCTC. They will have devices before the 17th starts. They did work with the college on how to log into their system and get their information from the courses, but they still will probably have a bajillion questions. So, scheduling again, they're not going to be all complete. I did not do specials either. So elementary specials, and then we're going to talk more about this tomorrow at each grade level. Mr. Massey really wants to focus on the core. We've talked with Lacey. It's gonna be hard for me to call her Lacey, Miss Mitchell, a lot on ways to integrate health and PE into your regular classrooms that you're going to be sending home. Music right now, for those of you that didn't know, Miss Craig resigned. She went to NAB Middle School in Montgomery County. She moved on to bigger and better things, and we're happy for her. We hate it though because she was wonderful. At this time, we did not rehire music. So elementary specials won't have music for sure, middle school specials. The students that were in band, we're going to work with them, and that should pretty much cover her schedule. Miss Christie and Miss Craig did drama. There's not going to be drama right now as far as a class. We might kind of do more arts and humanities stuff with them to get that credit taken care of, but as you look at their schedules, that might change because we are not going to hire music back at this exact moment. We're not sure what's going to happen with that. Okay, in Ms. Gifford's brain, and I agree, it would be much easier when we send these Chromebooks home on Thursday the 20th if every student had a password list. Even like a big sticker or something that we're going to have some people work on. As a classroom teacher, don't stress about how to get it formatted. But if you can be thinking of all the passwords that your students might need. I know some classes use Zern, iReady, CERT, just how to get into their email and their Google accounts. Anything like that, she's going to compile, or we're going to have people help us compile, a master password list for each student. Miss Amanda, DJ had Miss Amanda last year, and she had done this for 2nd grade, and it was wonderful because I had them all in one place. So we're going to try to do that for all the students because, by gosh, they can remember how to get into Snapchat, but when they get logged out of their Google Classroom for the day, they don't really care. So we're going to make sure their parents have access to all that information too. These are the meetings tomorrow with Ms. Gifford. We will come to you in your classroom. Mr. Massey and I will be in most of those as long as we don't have other meetings that come up. So K2 is going to meet in Ms. Sugar's room. If you're not familiar, Ms. Sugars has moved to the main hallway where kindergarten used to be. She's next door to Family Resource at 9 o'clock. 3 through 6 will be in Ms. Dina's room, which is the blue hallway. It's the middle school science lab, which is no longer middle school. It's now intermediate. Middle school teachers are going to be in Ms. Shanda's room. This is the yellow hallway. Ms. Tiffany Gallagher's old classroom in the very back on the right-hand side. High school teachers in Ms. Thayer's room, which hasn't changed. And then the special ed department in Mr. Patrick's room at 11. And I know special ed has another meeting at 9. So if you're not done by that time, then we can push yours back. And we will discuss all of your video, Google Classroom, YouTube, Zoom needs, hopefully. Training, Ms. Gifford is going above and beyond to get lessons and videos prepared for our students and our parents and you. So she's going to host a training on the different platforms. She's going to create videos that you can refer to later. She's going to host Zooms for the parents so they can better understand it. And then she'll have resources for parents on how to use Google Classroom. Again, that's kind of why we chose to go with common platform across the grade levels because it's just going to be easier if we can train them on one platform then they can use it consistently. Okay, as you talk to your families, one thing so when the parents answered that survey, and we had a great response, by the way, I emailed the teachers today that Excel file. I couldn't separate it by grade level because some people answered as families. So you can manipulate that Excel file and pull out what data you need. They did submit or collected their emails, so you have a point of contact for that person if you don't get what you need out of Infinite Canvas. I gave you all the responses to all the questions that were asked. That way you can touch base with them tomorrow. Please stress, though, that this is NTI and not virtual learning. Although some of their learning is virtual, all the instruction is still going to be supported by you. We do have a couple of students, or if you have any students that want entire virtual learning, we already have 6 through 8. It's called Play-Doh. It's very time consuming, it's very boring, and it's very long and drawn out. But we can put students on that. I've had students working through it this summer. That's what I did at lunch is I pulled reports for the 3 that texted me over the weekend and said they thought they were done. They're still not done. They have worked on it literally all summer and they still aren't done. So it's an option. I don't particularly like it. If you've seen it, it has videos for each of the lessons. There's a pretest. If the students do very well, they can exempt themselves from the content they already know. There's a mastery test, there's module test, and there's end of semester test. It's just very, very long and hard, and I just think that you all provide much better instruction than a computer. But it's an option. If we have a K-5 student that wants to go that route, We have some options that we have worked with before in county. I didn't pursue it a whole lot because I don't think we're going to have any that want to do that, if not very many. But if you talk to a parent and that's absolutely what they want, please explain that that's going to limit interaction with you. You are pretty much there as a monitor and everything else falls on them, okay? But it is an option. But if they talk about virtual learning, that's true virtual learning. So NTI, we're going to have to figure out meal and binder deliveries. So those are just questions that I need you to ask them, please. You can refer to your survey and ask about their internet service if they're going to need the flash drives. So the flash drives will play on their Chromebook. The videos that you load to Google Classroom will be loaded to that flash drive. They will have all their videos for 1 week, and then it'll be kind of like a 2-system checkout. They'll send that flash drive back, we'll send a new flash drive out, and then those will get wiped and loaded with the next week's content. So there will be options for them to watch the videos. If they have cell service and can watch YouTube, that's really all they're going to need at their homes. But we can talk with Ms. Billy more about that too. We're going to have to prepare them to join Google Classroom where all their work will be loaded. Zoom and YouTube videos will be what they watch for their lessons. Invite them on the Back to School Bash on August 20th. More details to come. If a family can't make it on the 20th, Mr. Massey is going to send out people on Friday the 21st to deliver what doesn't get picked up on the 20th. So we'll just have to see kind of how many show up. We decided not to do forms that night. So we had talked with Ms. Ann about updating enrollment forms, all those forms we send out every year. It was going to be time consuming. It's going to be putting a whole pack of papers in somebody's car. They're going to breathe all over them for about 10 or 15 minutes while they fill it out, and then we're going to take it right back, and it wouldn't have any time to sit anywhere. And honestly, you're going to have a good contact because you're going to be talking to them. So we decided to hold off on those. And we can send enrollment forms in the binders. We're going to ask you to update and just check on addresses and phone numbers and give us those changes that need to be made. But we're not going to do the forms like we normally do at the beginning of the year. The other ones are the nurse forms. We won't be administering medication, so those weren't really necessary right now. Ms. Gifford will still need technology forms, and we're going to tackle that. And then Ms. Stacy will still need frame forms completed. So those are the two that we're going to have kind of off the bat, but the whole big packet of forms we're not going to do right now. The supply list, please tell your families that it's not really necessary to go school shopping right now. Don't go buy a bunch of stuff. The basics are going to be in their packets that they get on the Back to School Bash night. This is going to be everything they can keep at home. Of course, if they want to go buy stuff, they can, but it's not necessary. And please reassure any students with an IEP that they will get an opportunity to get their services, but it will be scheduled. They can't just show up here because they want to get rid of their kid on Wednesday at 2 o'clock. Like, we'll schedule those and it'll be intentional. And then I don't know how many of you, I know lots of you on Facebook, but I don't know how many of you saw this, but when it came out last Monday night, what the board had decided, it was a mix of emotions on our part, on parents' part. We had some parents that truly advocate. I saw another one over the weekend that was very nice, and some parents that were just downright mad because they don't know how to do this, which is where they need us. But one of our community members, and she's also a former teacher and a former administrator, said this: if any school district in the whole USA can still provide quality education through this pandemic, utilizing NTI or other means, it's RCS. Ready, set, go. RCS administration, staff, parents, and student body. RCS is doing whatever it takes because that's who we are. So we just want to thank you and encourage you to please let us know how we can help, but also have patience with us. It's a learning curve that we never expected that we'd be in. Mr. Holbrook, I do think if he could walk to Frankfurt and sign his papers, he would have done it a few months ago because it's been a crazy summer, crazy since March 13th. But I'm glad my kids are here with you all because I can't imagine, and I have friends in other districts, and I know you all do too, and I hear the struggles that they have and the things that they've had to figure out, and our kids are blessed. My goodness, like the one-on-one attention and just the fact that our kids got fed over the summer and got human interaction with staff members most of the summer. It was different. You know, they couldn't come hug us and they couldn't come love on us, but they saw us and they knew that they were there. And they knew if they called, somebody was going to be here every day to answer. And they knew if they reached out to you on Facebook or text or the 5 million ways they have to get in touch with you, that you were there. Like, that means a lot. And we've had a couple of tragedies this summer that I swear I kind of blame this darn virus on. And I think if things were different, maybe those situations would be different, but we're blessed, and I thank you. And I don't have anything else today. I asked Mr. Massey if it was okay if we had kind of a light day, because I know it's, you know, you've got a lot to think about and a lot to wrap your heads around. We have technology meetings in the morning. I will email this PowerPoint as well as the health department PowerPoint out to you all, so you'll have those as resources. There's a few other things that we'll email out to you, so make sure you're checking your email. Mr. Massey, do you have anything else? Oh, Ms. Tricia. Textbooks. Oh, yes. So Miss Gifford and Miss Christina Schultz, oh, she's not here today. She's moving training for him, are going to continue, along with Miss Karen and the iReady, doing the checkout system for the library books. So that'll be ongoing. Please encourage your students that, yes, they can check out library books. Textbooks. Yep, textbooks are going to go home. I still have a list in my office of Mr. Turner's books that not all of them got brought back. And there's some on the, what thing? Mr. Massey got some on his dining room table at home. As you talk to your families, if they have textbooks left over, please encourage them to give those back to us. Miss Ann has a drop box in the front glass area. First NTI, we kind of used I call it vestibule, the glass area in front of the board office as a drop-off pickup location, only because those doors don't lock automatically and they don't have to have somebody to buzz them in. So they could at least get in that first little glass area until 4:30 every day without somebody being there. So we can do that again. They can drop them off there. We'll get the table set back up out there. Same way with binders. If they have binders that we can reuse them, we would love to do that. There are some binders at the old gym. I have to send somebody down there to get them because I don't have a key, but I think there's quite a few left down there. But yes, textbooks will be going home, but we also need textbooks back. Mr. Turner had turned in a list before he left. We called them several times. We told them to bring those back, but still not all of those made it back. So, and if we need to purchase textbooks because you do not have enough, get with Miss Chandra fairly quickly because she has a company that she uses. A lot of textbooks are also digital, and you can get digital downloads of those. So that might be an option too that we could load into your Google Classroom, is to have a digital version of the textbooks. So.
Okay, guys, we're going to let you go back for the remainder of the day to work in your room. Key thing is, the next few days, reaching out to your families, your students, talking to them, find out if there's any specific needs that they have that we need to know about. The big thing you're going to hear me say pretty much through this whole NTI, kind of the motto, quality over quantity. That's going to be what I'm looking for. I'm looking for quality instruction. I'm not looking for tons and tons and stacks of paper being sent home just for the sake of keeping kids busy. If you're sending something home, or if you're putting something on Google Classroom, I want to be quality instruction that they're going to benefit from, not something they're just sitting at their kitchen table, working hour upon hour. Okay? So they can do 10 math problems, obviously they can probably do 50. Just use it as an example. But anyway, if y'all have any questions, whatever, stop by, see me. I'm actually a new office this year. I'm where Miss Lee Hill was last year. She's moved to the conference room, and then my old office is going to be the new conference room. So we did a little bit of moving around, and Mr. Caddis is down where Sandy was last year. So those changes have been made here in the front office. But if you need to get a hold of us, stop by, text, email, whatever you need. But you got from now until 3 o'clock to work in your room, and we will see you in the morning. Thank you.
Billy Joe, I'll be in the morning to help you.
Yay. I've been, oh, got a long list.
Sorry, I had to move Trey into college today.
Oh, well, good for Trey.
Yeah.
We're just all in the gym. Well, I'll see you guys tomorrow, okay?
All right, thanks.
Bye.
Bye.